Hi, I'm Scott Sneath from BluChip, and today I'm with Amarpreet Kalkat, founder and CEO of Humanic AI. Welcome.
Scott, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Excellent. So before we dive into your company, talk a little bit at a high level, the industry and the evolution of applying AI to the sales world, because I think the word AI gets thrown around quite a bit, and people are obviously familiar with ChatGPT and things like that. But talk about how AI has sort of come to focus from a sales standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. I've been playing with AI in some ways for a very, very long time. So, you could say I'm very bullish on the AI case. Although I do believe in striking a balance. I think there's so hopefully I'll bring both the perspectives, the good and the bad, the bullish and the bearish in some ways, right? The balance is critically important. Mm-hmm. So a couple of things. One, see, for a lot of people, AI is like new, as if AI is a new thing that's just popped up. This is probably the fourth or fifth coming of AI in general in business, from 1970s to then late 90s, early 2000s, and then around 2013 to 16. So, but I think the way ChatGPT's put AI on the on the horizon is unmatched, of course. So I believe the potential of AI to impact business, especially sales, where we play around, is immense. I also believe that people are overestimating some of the things right now. So it's an interesting time, and we will dive into that right now. So there's it's a fundamental change. I believe it's a bigger change than even the internet. So that's how big it is. However, we have to tread with thought, I would say, and that's the best way to get the best results.
Got it. It seems like many ways for those of us who've seen these various evolutions of, the original browser of Netscape and when everything was cloud computing and people just assumed, well, if I put my things in the cloud, then everything will be wonderful. And we knew that if you just put crappy software in the cloud, it was still just crappy software.
Exactly.
And I would imagine that AI has some similar dynamics where it still involves some human intervention into it, which I think is a great segue into your company, Humanic AI. Let's talk about it and what inspired you to start the company, and what is sort of the mission and the ethos?
Yeah, so I have an interesting story. I think a lot of founders tell, I saw a problem and then I just went after it. I don't have a sexy, cool story like that one. I call it a bit of a hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah.
So for me, for a long time, so I've been passionate about what I used to call intelligent software, right? Largely AI, for a long time. I always thought that software was very dumb, that it needed to become intelligent for us to evolve faster, if you will. Yeah, I'll put it that way. So I was doing a startup. This is my second AI startup. I've been doing AI for around 10 plus years now actively.
Yep.
And we got started with that. One of the things we started building as part of that startup was what became Humantic AI. It was an attempt to understand human behavior. And there was literally some research papers. This is around 2015, 16. So that's the interesting thing. The technology that underlies Humantic AI, it wasn't even around a dozen years ago. It popped up on the horizon, like ChatGPT popped up around 7 years ago. The research papers that led to ChatGPT came around 2017. So what we do, research papers came around 2012, 2013, something like that. So we said, okay, this is a good way of understanding human behavior. One thing led to another. 2-3 years down the line, as part of my last startup, we found ourselves using it for selling, hiring, a couple of areas. We saw 1 or 2 more companies. IBM launched something around behavior and personality prediction. And we said, well, hold on. something's going on. There's something here. So that is what eventually led to, a couple of years ago, what became Humantic AI, when we saw the real applications, real possibilities, real results. And today, our focus is on helping salespeople understand their buyers. Sales is one of the most transactional things. So it was a great starting point, we thought.
Sure.
Understanding their buyers, their customers, as people, not just as professionals, right? So that's what we've always seen as our mission, to use AI to help people humanize how they interact, because when we understand each other better, it's a fundamentally richer, better, more productive conversation. And we call sales as a chapter one of our book. We think there's a lot more we could do beyond sales, but sales is what our focus is at this point of time, helping sellers sell to buyers as humans, as people, and not just as people who will give you money for something that you have to offer.
It's interesting because the notion of buying personas has been around for a very long time. And I always
Yes.
found it to be, you know, obviously an important exercise because you can't say one size fits all. But I don't even think you can say six sizes fits all. And often there was, anywhere from four, six,
So
eight buying personas. And
yeah,
I think the
that's
second
the
thing,
beauty.
yeah, I think the second thing I
That
find interesting is that you're using AI to help understand human behavior, which is fascinating.
it is slightly, I think, a weird juxtaposition in some
Right.
ways, right? So one thing we say, sell to the person, not to the persona. So that is something.
Yeah.
So people, putting the focus on people, we call it becoming buyer first, for example, but helping people move from persona based selling to a person based selling. You know, if I sell to sales leaders, it should not be, everyone is not just a CRO, right?
Right.
Someone is a Scott, someone's a Jim, someone's a Jane, someone's a Amarpreet. Can I make it about them? That's a very, very important part of what we are trying to bring to the table here, that move from persona to person.
So for our student athletes on BluChip, and I know you're a bit of an athlete yourself in martial arts, what I've read, a lot of
Hopefully.
disciplines and
Yeah.
focus and things of that nature. And we'd like to think that our student athletes bring the same type of discipline, focus, self motivation to the table. But um, AI as an industry can be intimidating, right? Because not everyone is a developer, not everyone's a data scientist. Um, but there are obviously other careers within AI supporting functions that exist. But so if somebody was interested in AI, but wasn't necessarily I'll just use the term generically, a scientist, meaning a Bachelor of Science major. What opportunities would there be to get into this industry?
So, see, we're talking athletes, sports people here. So, for those of you, I have done it a little bit myself, so I can understand. We don't, um, we don't need to take an inside out perspective. We don't need to understand AI. We just need to use and leverage AI. It's a tool, right? It's a tool. Um, you could um, hit the gym and build body muscle, right? Your fitness, without necessarily understanding how it happens. I mean, it helps if you understand, but it's not necessary. So that's the most important thing, that AI is a tool. It's actually not a very hard to use tool. You don't need to understand it. You just need to embrace it. And I think sports people, athletes are best placed, because it all it takes really at some level is a mindset. And I think sales athletes are generally, they have stronger mindset than most people that I have seen. So if you adopt the right mindset, you say, look, this is something I'm going to do. I've got to do it, right? It's like diet. You got to be on a strict diet. You got to do it. It's
Right.
like waking up early and just going for your practice. You got to do it. You got to do it. As long as you can do that, and you realize that before you know, it has become a natural companion. So I think it should be easier for athletes to adopt AI. Just remembering that it is about just having a certain mindset, and the rest
Yeah.
will largely happen.
And obviously, in any business, when you get the product off the ground, then there's marketing, there's sales, there's operations, there's all the supporting functions or frontline functions for that matter that go beyond the technology. And so I think that's important for the student athletes to keep in mind that, and I try to remind them that the industry itself, is almost less important because there's so many other supporting functions. So whether it's life sciences or medical devices, all these type of technologies that are available to us, there's a certain
Correct.
set of people that have to understand how to develop and innovate in those areas. But, business doesn't run unless somebody's selling and somebody's marketing and somebody's doing the accounting and the administration and all those type of things. So, but I
Correct.
think that to think about it as a tool that is developing and innovative with multiple applications is what makes it so fun. And I think probably shouldn't be as intimidating as maybe it seems to be. So, as you're looking to expand your business, what are the attributes that you look for? And this is, probably a good segue from what we talked about. What are the attributes you look for people on your team? Um, if you think about the next 5 hires you're going to make, what would be the common thread for those folks?
So attributes vary a little bit by role, of course, right, as we know.
Of
But I
course.
think to your point, there's some attributes that are just fundamental. And for us, from our perspective, again, we care about people and their character a lot. Um, Skills matter. I'd like to say it's an and world today, which is a bit hard. It's not an or world, is what I mean. Not good enough to just have this or this or this today. If you want to be great at something, you have to have this and that, right? You cannot really be too weak anywhere. All of us are not equally strong everywhere, right? Even when it comes to sports. But we have to be good enough in some places and great in some places and absolutely smashing exceptional in other places. For us, it starts with, like I said, your personality, your character. Uh, are you passionate about something? Are you driven about something? I think that's the single most important thing. Someone who's clear about what they want and has the drive and is willing to work for it. So call it passion, call it grit, call it drive. Number two would be discipline. Discipline is critically important. If you want to be the best of the best, you cannot do it. Even if you're gifted, you cannot do it without discipline. So for us, that is extremely important. So starts with passion, goes to discipline. Third, of course, skills matter. Without a doubt, they matter. The hardest working person with the highest grit, if they don't have skill, will not be as good as someone who has skill. You could still be better than most people. So skills have to come together. And the final piece I like to think is, really an obsession. I mean, obsession to me is more than a passion. Passion is saying I love something. Obsession is saying, or maybe we could call it drive. So unless I achieve this, I'm not giving up. So if you really see, what I said, out of the four attributes that I mentioned, only one is about skills. Knowing
Right.
whatever that is, computers, engineering, accounting, name it. The
Yeah.
other three are really about how we are as people. To us, to me personally, those are bigger definers of who will succeed than purely skill.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's something that I hear from a lot of folks who are, whether they're talent acquisition managers or CEOs or founders, is that sort of culture, character, drive is most important because the skills can be trained, right? People
Skills
can
can be trained.
take
Yeah.
the courses, they can, learn the discipline, and I mean the skill of the disciplined. but those other things will always carry through because skills come and go, right? A skill that's applicable 5 years ago may not be relevant today. So I think that's very, very interesting, and a very strong outlook in terms of our student athletes coming out, because I think many of them have that type of discipline, drive, skill. They work well with the team, but understand what their particular role is in contributing to that effort. So I think that's great to hear. Any final words of wisdom about the future of AI? What's in 5 years from now, what are we going to be doing with this? Is it will it do my laundry? Like, come on, like what's the where's it going?
Well, it's a hard one, Scott. Predictions, as we all know, it's very hard. But I think a couple of things we can say safely when it comes to AI. Like I said, it's a fundamental change. It's a huge change. So I think we have to embrace it. And it's, like I said, it's just opening up our mind and saying, I'm going to embrace it. I am going to work with it. I'm not going to resist it. I think that's very, very important for anyone, as they keep saying, right? All smart people, they say, look, AI will not replace you, but someone who knows AI will. So that is very important to embrace it. I want to call it out as a risk because not everyone has the ability to embrace change, right? It is nothing but change.
Right.
So please open up your mind. It is something worth embracing. It is going to change how things happen significantly. On the other side, I'll also say often enough we get ahead of ourselves, right? So, I think year and a half ago, even I took some time to make up my mind. Is AGI close? Is going to? And then around 6 months ago, I was like, I feel fairly confident that it is going to take a lot more. So I think that's the good news as well. That it's not that something's changing tomorrow, and immediately I need to just be someone different and do things differently.
Yeah.
But it is going to change very significantly. Often enough, the pattern is they say gradually, then suddenly.
Right.
So it will be gradual, but I don't know when it will be sudden. Will it be 3 years from now, 5, 10, 20? I don't know, but it will be. So simple solution is embrace it, work with it, treat it like something, that gives us superpowers, because that's what it is. And I think we will be ready for anything that Silicon Valley or startups, even like us, will throw at you. Just have to be ready for that.
So embrace the change, understand what it can do, understand what it can't do. But I think that you're spot on in terms of, change is slow and then it's fast.
Yes.
And I think that's the way the technology markets continue to cycle and always have. So I think it's a fascinating area. So Amarpreet, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom with BluChip and the student athletes. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time today, and have a great day.
Thank you, Scott. It was a pleasure.